I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. It's been 4 months since I posted a video. Literally, I know I keep saying school, but it was school, and then my ring light broke. Like, as soon as I wanted to make a video, it just broke. But now it's working. So, I don't know what's up with her. I didn't flip her off. Y'all didn't see that. But anyways, I'm back now, and I have a YouTube video for you guys. I'm still planning on doing the sketchbook tour. I'll do this. I'll do it after this video. But let me do my intro. Hello, my name is Fame, and welcome back to another YouTube video. In today's video, I will be drawing Aizawa. Well, coloring. I already drew it. I'll be coloring pictures of Aizawa that I drew, but he's black. I'll get into the reasons why I decided to draw him black, and also why I decided to get into the topic of today, blackwashing. I have mixed opinions about it, but making this video helped me kind of solidify how I feel about it. And hopefully, if you watch this video and you're probably one of the people who think blackwashing is terrible, no good, just as bad as whitewashing, this might give you a little bit of insight or whatever. I'll also be reviewing some Shuttle art markers. Y'all see this? It is a 61 pack, 60 colors, 1 blender. I bought it with my own money. I'm rich. If you know how much is in my bank account, be quiet. But yeah, here are the markers. I have used them before I made this video a few times. I just wanted to get used to them. So yeah, they are like not pen markers. I don't know what type they're called, but they're double-ended, fine tip and brush tip. Very nice. And I'm gonna get into a review sometime later in the video. So with all of that out of the way, and hopefully you guys forgave me, let's get into this video. Before I get into the meat of this conversation, I do want it to be known that these are just my opinions about blackwashing. I'll also be reading some of my followers' comments about blackwashing, but overall this will be my own opinion. So if you don't agree with what I'm saying, you don't have to engage with this video. I do want to hear how you guys feel about the term blackwashing, or race swapping as some people call it, but please do it in a respectful way because any blatant hate of any kind will be deleted. We got it? Great. If you've been a part of the art community, whether as an artist or someone who's enjoyed art, you may have heard the term white or blackwashing. Whitewashing refers to the practice of altering the racial identity of historical or mythological figures to portray them as white, often as a way to erase or distort the histories and contributions of non-white people. Blackwashing is the opposite of whitewashing and can be viewed as an attempt to direct anti-racism or the act of promoting an equal treatment that results in equal opportunities. If you are like me or you understand the history of whitewashing, then you know why it's harmful. Not only that, but you may also know that some people in the art community think the same way when it comes to blackwashing. This is my opinion, but I don't think blackwashing is harmful in most cases. One of the main reasons I wanted to make this video was because I saw a video on Instagram by the creator Alma's Unicorn or a Llama's Unicorn. They draw a lot of My Hero Academia stuff, and one of the characters they often draw is Aizawa, but with darker skin and black features. Nothing was wrong with the video. I love the video, but the comments, on the other hand, didn't enjoy it. There were so many comments talking about why was he black, and seeing that made me want to draw Aizawa black and also with locks. Now, I could just say that blackwashing wasn't even a term before the internet, or just say it doesn't hurt anyone, but I won't. During the time of me making this script, my opinions about blackwashing have changed slightly, but one thing hasn't. One of the main reasons blackwashing and whitewashing are so different is because of one thing: context. Context isn't really important when it comes to anything. If you don't understand the context of something, then you won't truly understand it. In most cases of whitewashing, it is used in a harmful way. It comes from a place of hate, and they take black or POC characters and either lighten their skin or make them white. However, in most cases, when someone blackwashes a character, they don't do it to fix the character or do it out of hate. They use their creative freedom and put their headcanons on pre-existing characters. I do think in cases where a character's race are important to their character, then it is harmful to change their race, but if not, then I don't see a problem with making a character mix or making their skin a little darker. Another thing I see is people saying, why make this non-black character black when you can just make your own OC? Now, some people do make their own OCs or self-inserts when it comes to anime or games, but some people make pre-existing characters black for fun. An example being those POC icons you see on Pinterest. They don't do it to fix the character, they're just having fun, and in some cases I do enjoy seeing people take characters from animes or games and put their own spin on them. When black people make these edits of anime characters as black people or people of color, they usually do it for fun or because of the lack of POC representation in anime. I did forget to briefly mention, but I'm specifically talking about blackwashing in the art and like anime community, not for big time corporations. That's a whole nother thing. Yes, there are black anime characters out there that people love, but some people want to see their favorite anime characters as their race too. It might bring them a sense of joy or comfort seeing. Most artists don't make white or Asian characters black in their art because they're trying to force representation or force the writers of the show to change the race. I drew Aizawa black because seeing the backlash that artist got made me a little upset. Artists are allowed to have headcanons as long as they aren't harming anyone. By the end of the day, if you don't like what you see, you don't have to engage with it. That's the great thing about social media. You don't have to engage with things you don't like. I also asked my friends on TikTok how they felt about blackwashing, and I'm also going to read out some of their responses because I think some of them worded out how they felt about it really well. But before I get into that, let's take a short break so I can review these markers. In case some of you might have tuned out the first 2 minutes of this video, these are Shuttle art markers. They come with 60 colors and one colorless blender. It's a regular marker set that consists of double-ended markers, one with a chisel tip and one with a fine tip. I'm going to be completely transparent. I bought these markers off a TikTok shop. If you want to buy these markers, you have to have PayPal. They only accept PayPal on their website, so keep that in mind. I do suggest you go to TikTok if you want to buy these markers if you don't have it. The price of these markers were $34.71 for the 61 pack I got, and after taxes it came out to $38.36. And I got free shipping, so I was very excited. I'm now going to list my pros and cons and if I would recommend these for any other artists, beginner artists, long-term artists, or whatever. First, let's start with the pros. The double tips on these markers are super useful and the markers themselves take up little space. These are pen markers, so they're not as thick as their regular markers, which makes them great for travel. They're perfect for getting small details, and they're perfect for smaller or medium-sized sketchbooks and travel. I do recommend these if you have a sketchbook around my size, or just for detailing. The ink flow is just right. Some of the markers I used to use had terrible bleeding, and when I used them, it would mess up my line work, like the pencil sketching or the actual line work itself. So with these markers, it's very easy to control it and I had very few mess ups. The colors are very vibrant and the colors on the caps are pretty similar, which I love. I hate when markers are like the cap, it's bright yellow or something, and then when you use it, it is like orange or it's like the darkest yellow you have ever seen. The amount of browns in this set is also pretty amazing. I have a skin color marker set. It's Crayola, by the way. Don't tell nobody that. And honestly, the colors that are like brown are kind of terrible. They're like too gray or too orange, but like the lighter skin colors are fine, I guess. But with this one, they have a nice amount of skin colors and browns, so I really do love that. Also, the variety of colors in this set is really nice. For 61 colors, I was expecting like too many of one color, but they have a nice variety of pastels and dark colors, neons, and it has like a nice amount of grays, which I do like too. I'm not always the type to fully color in a page, so having some grays so I can like shade or something is really nice. So if you're looking for a marker set that is pretty small, easy to travel with a nice amount of colors, I do recommend this. Now let's get into the cons because I do have a couple. Some of the colors don't fully match the cap. Now I'm not expecting a perfect match, but some colors are too light or it's just like the wrong shade. There's this one color that looks like a magenta, but it's red. It's not a major problem for me because now that I know, after doing like a swatch sheet, I know what the color looks like so I can just adjust, but it did kind of catch me off guard at first. Also, there were a few markers where the actual color, whenever I first applied it, was light, but the second time I used it, it was like super dark, which I think messed up one of my pieces. Not too heartbroken about it, but yeah, that was kind of weird. But yeah, that's that point. Also, this is more like a personal preference, not a major con about the markers, but the chisel tip is a bit awkward for me to use. I'm used to like the brush nibs or the fine point, so I did have to get used to the chisel tip, but I definitely prefer the brush tip. But I'll eventually get used to it. I better. These markers are great. And my last con is that these markers do bleed through the page. Now, it's not like the world's greatest problem. It's something like, if you don't mind bleeding through the pages, then you'll be fine. I don't really care about it, but it's just something I would point out. I have a mixed media sketchbook and these markers do bleed. It's not like terrible though. I will say what's weird is that when I was coloring this FamesAu piece, the black didn't bleed through the page, but like on another page, I was drawing Wally and like, who is it? Howdy Pillar from Welcome Home. If you know, you know. And those bright colors bled through the page. I thought the black would have bled, but it didn't. That's kind of weird, but I don't really care. I'm still gonna draw by the end of the day. I really do love these markers, and I wish I got a bigger pack, but I couldn't get it at the time. But Shuttle Art, if you want me to sponsor you guys, you know where to find me. Just kidding, just kidding. Unless they are perfect for travel and for my sketchbook size. I highly recommend these, and I also have their paint markers. I still love and use them to this day, so if you want to try out some paint markers, I definitely recommend you give them a try. Now, let's get to reading these comments. I don't like race swapping at all if it's under the guise of improving the character. I also think the term blackwashing is silly. However, it would be nice if instead of constantly having characters changed to be POC, there were simply more well-written POC characters being made. I really don't care if someone makes a character black. Like, if it's important to the story, it would probably be better to make the character mixed so it still retains to that part of their identity. But besides that, fundamentally, it's not just as bad as whitewashing. Whitewashing actively robs representation from characters in order to fit a narrow-minded narrative. Meanwhile, making a character who was originally white black, or making them mixed, etc., just adds on to the character. It's also probably nice for people to see their race portrayed by their favorite character. I'm not black, but depending on the kind of character, I don't see a problem when black artists make a character black, especially if people headcanon said character as only half black, keeping their original race and culture as a reference and adding their own. It goes for any POC culture. I love seeing people represent their identity as long as they do their best not to be disrespectful towards the character's origin and background. I think bending the race of a character who already has a pre-established race is just strange. Like, why can't you just add their canon culture? I'll take Javier for example, because being a Mexican is a part of his identity and character. I don't think it would be Javier anymore if they made him Polish or Greek. Honestly, my opinion for when it comes to blackwashing or whitewashing a character, I just don't vibe with it, and most times I just don't care. To put it in words, just don't touch a classic character. It really depends on the context. If we're talking about characters that have an established background and lore, changing their race doesn't sit well with me. Sorry if that offends someone, but it's my opinion. However, the opposite applies. If a character doesn't have lore or an established background, getting race swapped is fine. I'm a white artist, and I literally cannot stand the blackwashing debate because I think it just comes down to people not understanding nuances and jumping to false equivalents. There would be nothing wrong with whitewashing if the majority of white artists could include a tokenized representation in our artwork, but we haven't been, and choose to over-represent white people, which comes down to racist bias. It is very similar to the whiteface versus blackface debate in the fact that neither would be inherently wrong if it wasn't for white people literally using one as a tool to perpetuate prejudice. I think that the argument of just make your own character/story is also kind of crazy, because why are we expecting that much labor from people for something that is at fault of white artists? People don't realize how much effort goes into art, character stories, and blackwashing doesn't hurt anyone. Then, when black creators go out of their way to create media, it gets labeled as forced representation. There is no winning either way. This isn't a past issue either, because there are still white people all over the internet saying that it's too difficult for them to draw POC, and people defending it by saying it's their art, let them draw whatever they want. Why have we completely normalized racist bias in the art community? It's insane. I've been drawing for 8-ish years, and I've been drawing Black characters since I picked up a pencil for the first time, and that should not be normalized as a flex and not an expectation. If a third grader was drawing a Somalian Muslim OC, then I think everyone in the art community should be able to draw at least one Black person. I just dislike these debates from a perspective of an artist. They must be so annoying and frankly discouraging to hear from Black artists my age. I really think that this whole stigma/issue should be discussed more. That went on a little bit longer than I thought it would, but simply put, if you don't like blackwashing, or if you don't like when people make characters with darker skin, you don't have to engage with that and you don't have to be hateful. I personally love seeing people put their own ethnicities on certain characters, making them darker, just adding unique headcanons to them. It adds variety in fan art of that character. And if you don't like it, you don't have to engage with it. And people need to learn that and stop being so hateful to creators like Alma's Unicorn. Those comments were unnecessary and just flat out racist. Do better. So that is pretty much all I have to say about the topic. I appreciate everyone leaving comments behind, and if you want to see more of my art, please be sure to check out all my socials in the caption below. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you learned something new from this video, and stay tuned for the next video. It'll be coming very soon.